Hello teachers, this video is to help you get an idea of what you can do with the Ozobot bit kits that we have in Castleberry ISD. If you're not in Castleberry ISD, you can still use this video as an orientation for how you might use them in your program. Our kit has 18 Ozobot bits. They come in a little case like this, and we have them numbered in Castleberry. Yours will come unnumbered if you buy those yourself, and they come in a large box, a large crate like this with all of these things in this one box. There is an inventory on this end that tells you everything that's in there, but roughly it is the 18 bots. It is the chargers for the bots. Each charger will charge 6 bots at a time, so there's 3. And there's also a packet of paperwork to help you implement in your classroom different ideas and things that you can use with the students. There is a ready-to-go bowling game with the props that you can use, and then lots of markers. Markers are the one, not disposable, the consumable thing that you will need to keep an eye on and potentially come up with more. The Ozobots use 4 colors: black, blue, red, and green. And we do have Ozobot markers. It comes with some in the kit, but if those run out, you can use other markers. They just need to be able to make a wide line as you draw. I've also noticed that black runs out way before the other 3 colors. So if you have a choice of what colors to use for your project, you might set the blacks aside and use the other 3 colors so that you have the black markers at the ready when you need them. So the kits in Castleberry are checked out for 2 weeks at a time, and to check those kits out, you can either find me if you see me walking by and we can set that up, or you can email me in district, or I'm also on Twitter. You can hit me up on Twitter pretty easily. If you don't know if you're not connected with me on Twitter, I'm at @thefort_FW. A lot of Fort Worth references in there, at @thefort_FW, and you can just shoot me a tweet and we'll get a checkout set up for you for 2 weeks, and I can bring them to you. When you check them out, we will inventory them in and inventory them out. That means we'll check everything in the kit when I give it to you to make sure that you have everything that's supposed to be there, and then when you check them back into me, we'll go through and make sure all the bots are there, all the paperwork's there, the chargers and that sort of thing. Do try to keep the boxes in good shape. I know it's a plastic crate, but this is our storage unit for the Ozobots, so please try to keep those in really good shape. There are some things that you need to do, though, if you decide to use Ozobots in your class. You'll have to do a little bit of setup work before that. The first thing is you'll need to check the bots out from me, and you need to have those ready. I've noticed that it works better if there's about a week of lead time, not because I need that time to get them ready, but just in case they need to be charged or something needs to be replaced from the last checkout that I've done, or if somebody else has them and I need to arrange retrieving them and getting them to you. So if we leave about a week's buffer between before you need them, then that probably will smooth things for you. Also, you'll need to figure out what your plan will be when you're using the Ozobots. And the Ozobots, I like to say, they are not the thing. They are a tool that lets you teach the thing. And that's a roundabout way of saying you can plug these into lots of different areas of curriculum, but you need to know what you're going to do before you do it, because they're not the sort of technology that you could just roll up and hand to students and say, go. There needs to be a little bit of planning on how you'll put these on the table. When you are using the Ozobots, there's 2 ways that you can do them. The first way, which should be the first way that you do it with students if they've never done them before, is on paper. And the charm of the Ozobots are that they are programmable with marker. And I have taken a sheet of paper and I've drawn a thick line like a track, and I've put the little Ozobot on that, and it will follow it, and it will change colors as it goes. It'll change to red and to blue. And so students can make different projects, they can do different challenges, they can just go free form with that, but they need to understand how the Ozobots operate, and they need to understand some of the things that will trip them up. Some of those things will be if they get their lines wrong. There's a guide in here to help. If it shows students too skinny, too fat, too wiggly, just right. So they have an idea. Also, when they're making turns or loops, there is a certain amount of tolerance that the Ozobots will accept in turns, but it can be too narrow or too angled. And so showing them the right way to make their lines can really shave frustration off in class. Also, after they've had a chance to explore, there are code sheets. So this is kind of next level in the instruction. And each one of these color patterns, if it's integrated into the track, will make the Ozobot do different actions. So there's a section for different speeds, different directions, timers, cool moves that it can do. And these color patterns get inserted into the track, and that programs the Ozobot. And so that's the first way that you can use these. The second way that I'm not modeling in this video is using Ozoblockly. And to use Ozoblockly, what you do, you use a laptop or a tablet, and you program the Ozobots to do activities independent of the track. And the way you would do that is you would go to the website, ozoblockly.com. I've written it up here. And there's a quick tutorial to show you how to do it. And then you would have the students do drag and drop coding from ozoblockly.com and build the program that they want to do. And then they take their Ozobot and they put it to the screen, and it actually flashes the colors to the Ozobot, and they can drive it around. That quick 2-minute tutorial at that website is great for showing you what that looks like in action. But if you're going to do that sort of activity, you need to have all your tablets or laptops charged with the right software on them in advance of class so that you can have them do that activity as well. Some of the things that you might try to do, it might be a challenge that you invent that goes with the content you're doing. That could be standards based, and it could be in social studies class or math class, whatever area you're in. It could be a challenge from this kit. There are several different activities and ideas that are in here that you could just use right from the box. Or it could be a challenge or a task that you find online. There's a nice community of folks online who use these things and post what they've done in their classroom. So feel free to check those things out and see what you can find. If you decide to have students do the Ozoblockly, and you have students do the drag and drop programming to program independent from the track, you will need to plan in more time for that programming because it doesn't happen in real time like with markers on paper. You'll also, before you use the Ozobots, you'll need to make sure that all of your bots are charged. And the way they charge, there's just a little plug, and each one of these chargers has 6. And there is a little port on the back of each one that just plugs right onto that port. And you can plug them all 6, and just plug them all in. They flash when they're charging, and then they go solid when they're done. So you'll also need to make a plan for how you will maintain charged bots through the activity that you're doing. So if you've got 4 classes, you're going to have to figure out how to distribute charged bots through time across all of those classes. So you might need to arrange students working in pairs or partners. You might need to have one group working on their coding or on their paperwork while another group works with the bots. But that'll be something that you arrange based on the makeup of your class. But just do be aware that if you're planning to use 18 Ozobots and they go great for the first class and the second class and the third class walks in and they all die from dead battery, that's going to be troublesome. So you'll want to have a plan in place for that. I would ask also, there's plenty of good original paperwork sheets in here like Blackline Masters. Use those for copying. Please don't write on any of the originals because then it's just a one-use thing. There is a sign-out sheet for you to use with your students if you like, and that just tells you which student has which Ozobot. And the Ozobots are numbered, so number 1, number 2, number 3, and so you could say this student has this number bot. That way at the end you would know who to ask for to have each bot returned. So that's one useful way to do that, but you need to make copies of this so that you don't write on the original. There are some helpful tips that will make your life easier as you roll out Ozobots in your class. And the first one is to give the students a very strong orientation. You only get one shot at a first time with these, and the students will be into it, and they'll be really interested in what you have to say. But you need to really let them know what to do and what not to do. These are strong enough to use in class, but they're not ironclad, super strength things, so they do need to be dealt with a little bit of care. They shouldn't be flying off desks. They also have little rubber helmets that are on them. They can come off, but there's no reason to pull them off because they charge with the helmets on, so we're just going to leave the little helmets on and tell the students to do the same. Also, you will need to model for the students the right way to do a line and show that to them. That way they know exactly what to do. You could also show them some wrong ways so they see how the Ozobot gets confused or turns the wrong directions. But one thing that is important is calibrating the Ozobot during the activity. Calibration is important because they have light sensors on the bottom, and the light is different in different rooms. Some are bright, some are dim, and we need to tell the Ozobot what our lighting is like. And so to do that, you'll have a big black dot, and it can be printed like this one, or it can be drawn with black marker on a paper. And so what you do is you take the Ozobot, and you turn it off, and then you push the button and hold it for 2 seconds, and when it flashes, you put it on that dot, and it's calibrating. That lets it know how is the lighting in the room, what should it be expecting from the colors and the marks on the paper. So this one was calibrated, and then you should be able to take it and drive it with a little more precision than if it was not calibrated. So if your Ozobots start to misbehave or get a little bit off track, you can use that calibration to refine them and get them back on track, so to speak. One tip that I have discovered to be true across the board is the first time you use Ozobots, or any technology really, but the first time you use Ozobots with your students, you need to carve out time to let them play. They need a chance to just explore, see what their friends are doing, see what they're doing, and I have made the mistake in the past of not allowing that time to extend long enough, and it led to frustration whenever I'd give them challenges or tasks to do because it wasn't working the way they thought. So I encourage everyone to let your students play for an extended period of time, and they'll start to let you know whenever they're getting off task. Also, I would suggest that you play with them yourselves a little bit before rolling them out in front of an audience. Make sure that you're comfortable doing different things with the Ozobots so that you have some proficiency with it. And I would also encourage you to connect with other people who are using these. You can do that either on your campus, or if there's folks in your district who use Ozobots, you can connect with them. Facebook or Twitter are both great ways to find communities who are doing this sort of thing. On Twitter, you can use all sorts of different tags to connect with folks who do this sort of project, and it's a great way that I've been able to use ideas from other folks. But when you're done using these, you'll package these things back up, charge them if you can, and if not, I'll charge them when I get them back, but then I'll check them back in with you, and we'll get you set up for the next time whenever you need them. But don't be afraid to reach out. If you're not sure that you would like to use Ozobots, just hit me up, and we'll talk about it and see if it might be a good fit for your program. All right, best of luck.